I'll always remember how my grandmother tells stories about how everything used to cost only 2 cents. But now everything is constantly getting more expensive. She blamed this all on the government, these uneducated pigs that didn't know how to control pricing. And when I was privileged enough to hear this story, her complaining would last for hours and hours. And that's exactly what reactive people do. They always focus on the things they cannot control. It's not possible that a concept like inflation would exist, and if it did, it's impossible they wouldn't know about it. On the other hand, proactive people realise, look, even if my complaining would be completely justified, it doesn't help me. So I'm going to focus on what I can control. If a proactive person owns a business where he sells a product, instead of focusing on how people these days don't appreciate good products anymore and how the government has horrible regulations, he focuses on how can I improve my product so that my customers can't live without it. Do you realise how much responsibility, how much dedication, how much hard work comes along with asking that question? And what do you think our effort minimising brain is going to pick as default? That is exactly why most people choose to focus on the things they cannot control rather than focus on the things they can. Habit number 1 is be proactive. Now imagine you were at a funeral, but this one is different than any other funeral you've been to. You're standing over the casket and you see yourself. What do you have to say about yourself? This is one of the most powerful questions you could ask. Are you doing the things in your life that are aligned with what you want to be able to say? Do you want to be able to say that you are a good spouse? If that's the case, how does coming home and instantly being negative towards your spouse affect that? Do you want to be remembered as someone who added value to society? If that's the case, are you doing the things that allow you to say that? Or are you scared of failure and choose comfortable mediocrity instead? Almost every one of us will have to readjust how we live when we ask this question. Habit number 2 is begin with the end in mind. Now if I were to ask you, what are the most important things to you? The most common answers I would get back is either your well-being, your relationships, your family, your spouse, or your children. You would never say organising papers or watching TV, but how many of us spend more time watching TV than planning our nutrition and going to the gym or cultivating a healthy family environment? There's a horrible disconnect between what we say and how we actually allocate our time. Habit number 3 is put first things first. Now imagine you're an author and I'm an author and we both write interesting books. We both have an audience of about 100,000 people. I read your book and I love it, so I share your book with my audience, and as a result you now get thousands of people buying your book and reading your ideas. You see this and think, who is this guy? Let me take a look at his book. And you start reading my book and think I have ideas that are valuable, so you decide to share it with your audience, and as a result I now have thousands of people buying my book and reading my ideas. Notice how different this is than me creating like a fake Amazon account and finding your book and leaving a bad review, hoping that people deter from buying your book, which will in turn somehow get them to buy my book. Habit number 4 is think win-win. Something I want my viewers to do is subscribe to my channel, but you'll never hear me say, well, I worked really hard on this, you guys, it took me hours, please subscribe. Look, realistically, no one cares if I spent days creating this video. The real questions are, does it offer value to you? And why should you dedicate your time to subscribing when you could literally be doing anything else? Habit number 5 is something I actively try to pursue every single day. It is, seek first to understand, then to be understood. Now imagine there were 2 people and there was a big tree with 5 apples. They're both too short to reach the apples, but if one of them sits on the other one's shoulders, he can reach all 5 of the apples. This is called synergy. The whole is greater than some of its parts. Now I'll be the first one to admit, you cannot achieve this with everyone, but you should always be looking for opportunities to create synergy. With every synergistic opportunity you create, you can gather more apples than you would otherwise by yourself. Habit number 6 is synergize. A man has been cutting down a tree for hours, and after a while his neighbour can't take it anymore and he goes over. He says, you know, if you sharpen the saw you'll be able to cut it down faster. And then the man replies, but sharpening the saw is going to take time. Now we might laugh at this story, but we do the same thing all the time. We can't find 30 minutes a day, 4 times a week to go to the gym. Our health deteriorates to the point where we're physically incapable of being effective. We can't read a book for 50 minutes a day and mentally stimulate ourselves. No, these things take way too much time. And then we have the audacity to ask for little tips and tricks on how to be effective. It's like telling your engineer, don't worry about the foundation. Where can we get the magic bricks that can float in the air? Habit number 7 is sharpen the saw. And these are the 7 habits of highly effective people by Covey.